This time on the Q Division podcast, we open the case of 1985's A View to a Kill.
This episode, we say goodbye to Roger Moore.
And hello to Grace Jones.
We go to the races with Miss Moneypenny.
And learn how long it takes to inflate a blimp.
And did we mention Grace Jones?
All that and more on this episode of the Q Division.
Hello, agents. Welcome to another episode of the Q Division. I'm Gavin, and I've seen all the James Bond movies.
I'm Chelsea, and I've seen 16 in a TV special. How have I seen 16? I do not believe this.
You have. You've seen 16
You're
of them.
gaslighting me.
Including 2 unofficial ones. Like, you're just racking them up.
That's true. I forget about those, and we just did that one.
Yep. The Q Division's top secret mission is to take a deeper look at the history and impact of the James Bond films and other media through a queer lens. Speaking of, the Q Division is a proud member of the Glitterjaw Queer Podcast Collective. You can find out more about Glitterjaw at glitterjaw.com. This episode, we knew we'd have to send our favorite agent, Roger Moore, out with a bang. And who better to join us than the spectacular writer and film critic, Brian Richards. Brian, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm glad to be here.
I'm so excited to do this one because I don't know if this is the right place to put it. I consider myself a huge fan of A View to a Kill, and yet every time I watch it, it goes down in my esteem. But I love this one for all the I think all the elements are there. I want this one to be so good every time I watch it, and I'm always a little shorted at the end. But before we get into specifically this James Bond case, I want to know your history with James Bond. How did you come to James Bond? Do you have a favorite Bond movie? Is this your first time?
When I was very little and Hobbit-sized, my mom ordered a bunch of movies from Columbia House. And for those listeners who have no idea what Columbia House is, ask your parents and your aunties, where you could order like 6 or 12 movies for a penny, things like that. And 2 of the movies that my mom ordered from them was Live and Let Die and The Man with the Golden Gun. Oh, and Goldfinger was the third, but Live and Let Die was the first James Bond movie that I saw. I know it's not the best. I don't really care. It's still like one of my favorites to watch.
I still had a nice time.
Yes. It is still so much fun to watch. I consider it a comfort movie almost because of how ridiculous and over the top it is, even without the presence of J.W. Pepper.
Well, thank God for that, first of all. But I still think it's a beautiful looking movie. It's certainly
it is.
It's not one of my favorites, unfortunately, even though it does introduce us to a very handsome Roger Moore. But I love Yaphet Kotto so much that
He's
and
so
Jane
good.
Seymour.
And I especially love Jeffrey Holder, even though he is Baron Samedi. He scared the living. Can I curse on this?
Yeah,
Yes.
Go ahead.
He scared the living shit out of me as a little boy when I saw him. That's how good he was. And why one of the many reasons why, may he rest in peace, why he'll always be the legend that he is, because he really was that good in it, even with not that much screen time in the movie.
My favorite scene in that movie is, and I kind of always forget that it exists, but it's when he goes to tell Kananga that Solitaire has betrayed him, and he does the tarot cards where he holds up the death and whatnot, and it's just like, oh, and in that scene he's not even dressed in like the Baron Samedi like regalia. He's just looking amazing.
He's just acting like a he's just acting like a judge on RuPaul's Drag Race, just holding up cards and just being judgmental as hell and laughing at Solitaire and at the horrible fate she's about to suffer.
This really was a Drag Race acting challenge movie. You know what? I loved it. Go back and re-edit it, Gavin.
I'll do it. I'll climb right back into the edit machine because it's about the size of a room here at the Q Division. I will say I think I still maybe owe Columbia House money, which I don't know is very good because I don't think they exist anymore. But but probably down the line, because we were very much a Columbia House family. I mean, my first like buy 12 CDs, get 2 free. Yeah, it's certainly my dad did that with me. So yeah, Columbia House. Wow, really taking me back. That's amazing. Would you say that you have a favorite James Bond then, since you did start with the Roger Moore? Because I've admitted many times on this show that I'm a little biased because Roger Moore was my first James Bond, and so I always sort of think of him as my favorite.
Yeah, I would definitely say that. I mean, because Roger Moore was my first James Bond, he's definitely high up there in terms of my favorites, right up with of course, with Brosnan and Connery, and I do like Craig. It's depending on what day you catch me on. The ranking will always switch up, but Moore will always I'll always have some fondness for Moore because of, he is the one who introduced me to James Bond in the first place.
I love that.
Do you remember the first time you saw A View to a Kill?
Yeah, it was also when I was little and hobbit-sized, and it might have been shortly after I first saw Live and Let Die. I'm pretty sure I might have seen it when it was being broadcast on network television, and I obviously was too young to really get into the James Bond lore. I just thought the stunts, especially with the fire truck, and the Golden Gate Bridge were really cool to watch. And obviously, I'll get into this in further detail later, but Grace Jones.
Yeah.
That's really all that needs to be said, just Grace Jones.
Truly. She had a bit of a rough time at the beginning of making this movie, but we'll get into that in a bit. All right. Before we do get into that stuff, though, I always love to check in with Chels because this is her first time seeing these films. Chels, having now seen A View to a Kill, how you feeling? How you doing?
Gavin, I wish you could watch it through my eyes because I'm a changed woman. Like, what a way to go out if this is Roger Moore's last one. Who knows? There could be James Bond movies in the great beyond. Who knows? But wow, Grace Jones. If I already loved you before, but I would die for you. I'm sure you did have a rough time carrying this film because you were doing everything. What a woman. Also, Moneypenny got out of The Office, so, my girl, y'all, I had the best time with this. It was so silly, but it also made sense. It was a little too real in some spots, just plot-wise. I'm like, "Oh, this is a little too close to what's happening in the world right now."
Yeah.
But boy, did I have a blast. And you know what? I am okay with a Charlie's Angel popping up. That feels correct.
If it makes you feel better, I think Roger Moore was a little flustered by the realness of some of the stuff that happened in the movie, though for different reasons. And obviously, he couldn't have predicted the situation we're in right
I
now.
bet he could have, though.
Yeah,
I mean, Roger
maybe.
Moore might be one of my top 5 straight men that I know of, that we know of, because, I love him. I don't care that he's like 60 in this movie. If Tom Cruise can do this, so can my man.
Well said.
Absolutely. All right. Well, let's get into the production. First of all, I did want to start with the book, even though the book has very little impact on what the film actually is. The short story From A View to a Kill comes once again from the Ian Fleming short collection For Your Eyes Only, published on April 11th, 1960. The story began as a script for the never-realized CBS James Bond TV show, and it deals with Bond disguising himself as a motorcycle dispatch rider in an attempt to flush out an assassin who killed the last rider and stole his documents. Bond kills the assassin and then, taking his identity as a disguise, signals for the assassin's accomplices to come out of hiding. However, seeing through his disguise, they attack him and almost kill him, and if not for a bullet fired from a .22 pistol held by Marianne Russell, a local station agent Bond met earlier in the story, he would have died. This story's a fun one, honestly. It's breezy, it's barely 30 pages, and it makes for a sharp, quick adventure. I also really like the character of Marianne Russell, who genuinely is Fleming getting as close as possible to understanding what it's like to have to deal with loads of unwanted attention from men, except that he gets wrong that it's all men and not just French men. So,
See, this is the first time I've ever had any interest in reading the source materials now. This is the first time. You may have said barely 30 pages, and that caught my attention, much like an under 2-hour runtime catches my attention. So I might have to check that out.
it's fun, and like I said, Marianne Russell is a good character for being introduced in under 30 pages, but she is literally like, it sucks to be stationed in France. All the men are pigs, and I can't even walk anywhere without them making a comment. And it's like, yeah, Ian, that's what it's like for women all the time. It's not just France. The story itself started off as a prequel explaining Hugo Drax's origin from the book Moonraker, explaining how he went from Nazi officer to hiding as a British soldier. Also, the original title of the story was The Rough with the Smooth, which honestly, I would have read that.
I mean, is that not a Bold and the Beautiful spinoff?
That sounds like a soap opera on Logo.
Yeah, yes.
Yes. This is a RuPaul produced soap opera that is all just acting challenges.
Brought to you by Boy Butter.
Yeah. It's half the cast of Jumping the Broom. However, as I said before, none of this impacts the movie at all. So, but I did read it anyways, just in case, because, I'm just being a completist at this point. In terms of the film, with their financial win against Kevin McClory's rival Bond film, Never Say Never Again, it became clear that the Eon Bond series would continue as the one true big screen James Bond series. Because of the success of Octopussy with Roger Moore in the lead, even after all the talk of recasting for the last film, it was decided that he should return for his 7th outing as the Master Spy at the very young age of 57. And this is going to come up a lot in this. A View to a Kill marks the first time Michael G. Wilson, Albert R. Broccoli's stepson and longtime writer of the series, joined Broccoli as an official producer. Richard Maybaum was brought back once again to co-write the script with Wilson, and they had intended to bring back George MacDonald Fraser from Octopussy, but he proved unavailable at the time. Maybaum's original draft had the villain Max Zorin harnessing Halley's Comet and causing it to crash into Silicon Valley, a plot that Wilson deemed too unrealistic. Sometime between Octopussy and the writing of this film, it was decided that the title would drop the from, just becoming A View to a Kill, and also the plot of the short story was nixed for something much more contemporary.
Bless their hearts.
I am a little shocked that the Halley's Comet thing was thrown out, especially...
Too unrealistic?
I know.
say?
I was going to say, we go back to space lasers in a little under 20 years, so I don't know why Halley's Comet's the one that's got to suffer.
This just reminds me, like, this is the exact same time frame on General Hospital when Elizabeth Taylor has just popped in to Luke and Laura's wedding, and then her family, like, from then on is the villains, and, like, her husband wants to freeze the world with a diamond or some shit. So this is too unrealistic for this time period?
I always go back to Eterna on One Life to Live, the underground magic city that was found by Victor Lord. So
You know what? The characters, they lasted too. That's
they
the funny
did
part.
last.
All thanks to the
R.I.P.
power of cocaine.
Yes, everybody. I mean, it's the 80s, man. You got
No
it.
wonder the 80s were great for television.
They really were.
Dynasty meets James Bond, and that was every soap opera.
Yeah, Moldova Wedding Massacre. You gotta.
We could have gotten a Mr. Burns type scheme in a James Bond movie, but
Yes.
no, that had to be their deal breaker.
Listen, I don't want to talk about real world stuff, especially because I know we record these ahead of time, but there was that report last month that billionaires are trying to figure out how to block out the sun, and I was like, this is a Simpsons plot. Guys.
Where's Maggie Simpson when you really need her?
I know.
Just put a gun in her hand and just like send her crawling.
Point her in the direction.
Do I need to give my very, very dumb new dog a gun and see what happens?
I mean,
Bless his heart, Copper.
I think that even goes without saying.
I mean, my curiosity is already piqued, so by all means. Just load up the Walther PPK, put it in Copper's paw, and...
See what happens.
Start
Yes.
your own rival James Bond series, Chels.
We can do it. It's like James Paws or something. Although Copper's, we've been workshopping his drag name. It's either Coppertone or Foxy the Hound. Depends on if he's Bond or the Bond girl.
Oh, well, I like it. I
Oh.
like it. Most of the crew from the previous film returned for this adventure as well, including director John Glenn, production designer Peter Lamont, stunt driver Remy Julian, stunt skier Willie Bogner, and longtime film scorer John Barry. Many notable celebrities were linked to playing the villain of the film, Max Zorin, including Sting, who turned the role down, Rutger Hauer, and David Bowie, who accepted the role at first, but then backed out saying he didn't want to, quote, spend 5 months watching his stunt double fall off cliffs.
Rude. You should have done it.
Priscilla Presley was originally cast as Stacey Sutton, the main love interest, but problems with her contract with the TV show Dallas meant that she had to be replaced by former Charlie's Angel and Sheena Queen of the Jungle herself, Tanya Roberts. Have either of you ever seen Sheena Queen of the Jungle?
I need to.
So do I. I'm pretty sure that I recognize the box art from my many visits to video stores back in my youth, but unfortunately I haven't seen it.
Oh, I need to just based on this title.
As many queer people are, I was raised by straight people. And so it was one of my dad's favorite movies when I don't know favorite, but it was on a lot when I was a kid.
It was frequent in the rotation of 3 things you could watch.
Exactly.
I will say, Priscilla, your work on Dallas was very important, so I'm glad you didn't leave. They needed every bit of high drama and camp they could get.
They most certainly did. And she was meant for bigger and better things, mainly the Naked Gun
Mhm.
trilogy.
Yes, correct.
Yes.
I I must have seen every episode of Dallas at some point, and I do not remember Priscilla Presley. So I feel bad, Chels. I'm not trying to push back against your. I just do not remember Chels. I do
It's
not remember
okay.
Priscilla.
We are both over the age of 30, and after
Yes.
that, life is just one giant Sudoku. Like the brain, who knows what's happening in there?
What are you talking about? I'm clearly 19. don't laugh so hard, Brian. Like, that's it. You're off the show.
Who am I to talk? I mean, I am 29, about to turn 30
Exactly.
later this year, so
You're 13 going on 30. What are you talking about?
It was also suggested that once again Barbara Bach come back as Agent XXX from The Spy Who Loved Me for the scenes involving Paula Ivanova. But when she declined, the new role was written and Fiona Fullerton was cast. Bach did make one lasting impact, though, as she suggested the producers look at singer, model, actress, and counterculture icon Grace Jones for the role of Mayday, Max Zorin's main bodyguard and lead henchperson of the film. I love that. I don't know why. I'm assuming at the time Barbara Bach is already married to Ringo Starr.
Has
So
to
she's-
be.
Yeah. So she's already running in the musician circles, but what was it about the script that she was like, Grace could play this? But it's great. It's brilliant.
It's like she knew Grace was a badass and was like, you should have her in this. Also, maybe like cook it up for her. That's the vibe. I'm like, Barbara, I would have liked you back though. I really like you.
I like her sticking to her guns, though. I like that she kept pushing them off about coming back just for cameos. She's like, I'm not gonna. She's like,
Exactly.
I was the lead Bond woman. I'm not gonna come back just to do a scene where I kiss Roger, no matter how much I like him. Apparently, they were neighbors at this time, so
I like that for them. But also, I support her not wanting to do things, which is my goal in life.
that means you get that on a t-shirt for you.
Yes.
Grace Jones and Roger Moore started off on the wrong foot, as Grace Jones was known to scowl, an artifact she says of the abuse she suffered from her step-grandfather while growing up in Jamaica. In her autobiography, she wrote, Roger Moore said to me, quote, "Please stop looking at me like that, with such venom." It made him really uncomfortable. Roger Moore was such a softie, although he did have incredibly hard legs and the stiffest hair, end quote. Moore also took issue with her lateness and loud music playing during his afternoon naps. You guys got to remember, this man is 57 at this point.
Yeah.
Reportedly throwing a chair against the wall in the dressing room after several attempts to get her to turn the music down, as recounted in his autobiography.
One day I snapped. I marched into a room, pulled the plug out, and then went back to my room, picked up a chair, and flung it at the wall. The dent is still there.
Jones reportedly won him over, though, as tension grew on the set. When it came time to shoot their love scene, the crew was deathly silent until Moore burst out laughing because as he climbed into bed with Jones, she slipped a giant black dildo against him. From that point forward, Jones claims they were always making each other laugh and that in the end she found his humor quite attractive.
I had this robe, that I have to undo the tie and drop it off in the scene. So I said, I'm going to strap it on. And when I'm supposed to walk in when he goes to Mayday, I see you're here to take care of me personally.
Yes, this is deeply inappropriate to do now, but I'm glad they both bonded over silliness.
Me too. I do not defend Moore's behavior, and I think it's interesting that only he tells that story in his autobiography. She did not tell that story in her autobiography. And so I think it is maybe, I don't know, he seems like such a nice guy. I almost think that's exaggeration. I don't want to call him a liar. I just think that he doesn't feel like a throw a chair type of guy. And even if he is old at that point, and I get it, he was the star, his name, he'd done 6 of these movies already.
He is also the victim of domestic violence multiple times in his life.
Right.
So, like, I have a feeling that maybe he was banging against the wall with, like,
Yeah.
maybe a hand or something. Like,
Yeah.
it's not as harsh as it was probably painted.
Yeah.
With him acting like a college basketball coach, probably
Yes.
not. I wouldn't be surprised if he had if his manager or publicist maybe was the one doing the throwing to make Roger happy. But as a fellow Jamaican and someone whose default expression makes them look like a serial killer, and who also had to deal with being told to smile more than I would like, I'm obviously going to side with Grace Jones.
Obviously, yes.
Absolutely. I was gonna say that's in one of your. I don't know if it's on Blue Sky. I don't. It's in one of your profiles. You say, "Please don't tell me to smile more," and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Do we think this is like very Betty and Joan, where they just like played up the tension, people? Like,
a little bit, but
embellishing history on both sides?
I think part of
As
it
a lover
must.
of gossip, I know things are embellished.
I think part of it must have been real because I don't think either of them would have cared to there's a really amazing documentary that came out, God, probably like 5 years ago at this point, but called Grace Jones, Blood, Light, and Bammy, and she doesn't seem. And I know this sounds counterintuitive to somebody who goes out and parties this much and has this kind of free life. She doesn't seem like an embellisher. And so I think the things that happened to her. And so I think she probably wouldn't have talked about it if it didn't. But she also doesn't make it sound as like earth-shattering as he does. And I'm glad that they grew to like each other in the end, because I had thought for years that they just didn't like each other. And I'm glad I like did the research on that and found out like, oh no, they actually did eventually get along, but it was rocky at first. I'd heard about the dildo thing though. That was something that made the rounds. And yeah, I'm glad that he took it in stride. But also, we've been talking about how there is a very queer sensibility to Roger Moore. There's just no better way to put it. And like he never plays the gay panic for uncomfortableness. And so I'm sure he was just a great fucking sport about it. But you're right.
They just needed to break the ice.
Yes, exactly. Inappropriate now, but
Grandpa
totally
needed
hilarious.
his nap.
Yep.
And then they had to break the ice.
And Grace needed to peg someone, and that was
And good for her.
good for her.
Starting the
Always.
rumor here, Grace Jones pegged Roger Moore.
Absolutely. He wasn't too old at that point. So
No, only 57.
exactly. Patrick Macnee was cast as Bond's ally/assistant, Tibbet, making him the fourth member of the 60s TV series The Avengers to play a part in the Bond series after Honor Blackman, Diana Rigg, and Joanna Lumley. He also once played Dr. Watson to Moore's Sherlock Holmes in the TV film Sherlock Holmes in New York, the entirety of which can be seen on YouTube. Thank you, YouTube. Roger Moore improv'd many of his lines about making Macnee carry his bags, which I also think is very funny, that he was like, I'm going to torture you now. David Yip's character of Chuck Lee was created for the film after it was decided to seize on the ethnic diversity of San Francisco as a location instead of bringing back Felix Leiter for the first time since Live and Let Die. And I kind of like that. I kind of like that they were like, oh, San Francisco is like an actually ethnic diverse place. Wouldn't it be interesting if the CIA agent was not just another white guy?
They didn't take the Friends approach of like, there's no people of color in New York.
Exactly.
And if there are, Ross has dated all of them.
Yes.
And fumbled
Like
all of them.
two.
Yes. It's like you fumbled Aisha Tyler and Gabrielle Union. It's like, I really do have to question your judgment.
Insane.
I have to question their judgment. They were dating Ross. I think they're the ones in the wrong here.
I have seen David Schwimmer's Stand Up to Cancer British Bake Off.
Okay.
That's probably the charm because he can bake.
That pregnant pause got my mind racing for a moment. You were like, I have seen David Schwimmer's. Okay.
Imagine fumbling them and Lauren Tom. Insane.
Yeah.
I figured if Aisha and Gabrielle would date any of the friends, it would be Matt LeBlanc.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I agreed.
I mean, one of them technically did on the show. And then they dump him. Sorry, this is not a Friends podcast.
Nor will it ever be.
To be continued.
funny enough, second episode Friends has come up in a row. This is not going great.
That's true. Oh no.
This is also sadly Lois Maxwell's final outing as Miss Moneypenny. Supposedly, when Broccoli mentioned to her on set that they were the only two left who had been there since Dr. No, she asked if they could kill her off instead of the eventual recasting she knew was coming. In the end, though, Broccoli decided to recast for the next film, phoning her to tell her how deeply sorry he was, but at that point, everything would have to change. I know. Once again, Miss Moneypenny gets to do more in this movie.
She does.
And I'm glad that it's just her and not her assistant who's introduced an Octopussy. But it sucks. She's the best. She's our favorite.
I mean,
She
I'll be
is.
lighting a candle, putting it in the windowsill, just waiting for her to come back from that other realm.
Lois Maxwell. She did it like nobody else could.
I love her.
And finally, last couple little bits about the cast. Dolph Lundgren makes a brief cameo as one of General Gogol's agents at the racetracks. He lucked into the role by being Grace Jones's boyfriend at the time and was visiting the set on that day. Also, Maude Adams, Andrea Anders, and Octopussy herself, claims to be in a scene as an extra, upping her total to 3 Bond films, but it's pretty commonly assumed her appearance, even if it is just in the background, was cut out of the film. I've seen people highlight pictures, try and show you. None of these people look like Maude Adams. Maude Adams has a very distinct look. I think you would notice if she was like prominent in the background.
I didn't see it, but I did have the Leo point at TV when I saw Dolph come on screen. I'm like, wait.
Somebody pointed out that in For Your Eyes Only, we totally missed Charles Dance as a henchman, and I didn't even notice, and I was like, oh my god,
That's
yeah.
okay. I take the Meryl Streep approach to that man being awful and do not.
I did not know.
Neither did
Oh my
I.
gosh. Oh,
You really
I'll
do love
send you that
gossip.
gossip later. Meryl Streep hates that man, and so do I, just because she does.
Oh,
I
well
trust
then.
Meryl.
I will willingly take it. Filming locations included Pinewood Studios in London, Iceland, Switzerland, France, and San Francisco, California, including location shoots at the Eiffel Tower and the Golden Gate Bridge themselves. Tragedy struck, however, when leftover gas cans from Ridley Scott's film Legend caused the 007 stage at Pinewood Studios to burn to the ground. The stage was later rebuilt the next year and rechristened the Albert R. Broccoli 007 stages.
Pinewood proposed calling it the Cubby Broccoli 007 stage in honor of Cubby and his long association with them and the film industry in England.
We invited the world's press, and we had the cast of View to a Kill out there. It was a very exciting day.
Here we go. This is it. Woo! And I suppose it's nothing to do with Cubby's girth, but it is being called the Albert R. Broccoli stage. It's because of the size of his heart.
Yeah, Peter Lamont talks about this in the book that you got me, The Man with the Golden Eye, Chels, and it, like, I mean, they were really counting on it. That entire final scene in the caves, like, would have been built inside that studio. The reason they built that studio is because it could house that much water, because they built it for The Spy Who Loved Me. And yeah, and it's truly no one's fault. It was just oversight. But, you know, Ridley Scott, it's his fault.
It is Ridley Scott's fault. You should do better. We've seen Alien. We know you have it in you to be better.
Be better, Ridley Scott. Don't let accidents happen on your watch.
Yeah.
That's what they say. You know, if a movie is good, it's everybody's success. But if a movie is bad, it's the director's fault. So that's
Exactly.
They say the same thing about arson. For the Paris Eiffel Tower skydive stunt, 2 parachutists were hired, the returning BJ Worth and the new to the series, Don Cadvelt. Being told there would be 2 jumps, both prepared for the dive, but when they gathered enough footage from Worth's jump, Cadvelt decided that he would jump anyways, without authorization of the city of Paris. The production immediately fired him when he reached the ground for jeopardizing the continuation of the film there. It certainly also hadn't helped that right before they went to film the initial stunt, production claims 2 other people not associated with the film parachuted off the top, unsanctioned by Paris itself.
If you're a professional, you don't do unauthorized jumps.
I really thought we were going to just pull it off and just very few people would have seen it.
The police get involved, the mayor gets involved. We've got other material to shoot in Paris. We don't want to sour our relationship with the city.
We were close to withdrawing our permission, so it was a very foolish thing to do.
I wasn't very happy about it because he was part of our team.
I was told that I had jeopardized quite an investment for the movie company, and in hindsight, looking back, oh, I definitely did.
BJ was very apologetic, but I mean, it was too late. It was done.
I had to fire him on the spot, and I wasn't able to ever get him back on another Bond film.
I'm reminded of it every time because I always get a phone call saying, thanks, Tweet, for making that jump off the Eiffel Tower. I got your job now.
How many people are jumping off the fucking Eiffel Tower? Like, what is happening in Paris that everybody thinks they can just
don't
jump
do
on?
that. People have like been harmed and permanently injured and like killed on these sets. Stop it.
Especially because it's a very short jump from the top of the Eiffel Tower. It's not like when you're going up in a plane. And funny enough, the person who calculated the perfect time was Michael G. Wilson, producer of the series, because he has a background in engineering. And so he told them they would have 3 seconds exactly to pull their chute. And it was said that they took BJ Worth took his advice to his accounting and knew that he would have 3 seconds before he could hear the air rush. So he knew the moment he could hear the air rush, he had to pull his chute. And that's how he did it. And they were able to capture it in one go, if not for another man ruining their attempt later on.
People are too wild on these things and need to behave themselves.
Yeah. Art is not worth dying for.
No,
We've said
none
it
of it
many
is.
times. Just on a funny note, Zoran's airship was provided by Airship Industries in a major product placement coup for them. The blimp was a Skyship 500 and was actually used in the opening ceremony of the 1984 Olympics, the welcome on the side having to be replaced with the Zoran Industries logo. Fun fact, at the time it took 24 hours to inflate one of those blimps, not a mere seconds like in the movie.
That is so funny.
Yeah. Speaking of Zoran Industries, A View to a Kill becomes the first Bond film to open with a disclaimer in the United States specifically, as even upon deep research, the production somehow missed that there was a similarly named Zoran Corporation. So the disclaimer was added to avoid comparison with the fictional supervillain of the film.
Is this that Streisand effect thing coming up?
Yep. I understand the urge, but like,
But also, it might be free advertising.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
If at best, it's not gonna. People aren't that dumb when they're dumber about bigger things.
Yeah, they are dumb about bigger things, yes.
I also just think that in the end, I didn't even look up what Zoran Corporation does because I don't care.
I was just thinking about the hot mare the whole time.
I know. We're so lucky, Chills. Move
I
to
think
New York.
I looked it up unless someone was making it up in the IMDb trivia section. I think the real Zoran Corporation is a fashion corporation.
Oh, funny.
Yeah.
I think they'll be okay.
Yes.
They're like, we must blow up Silicon Valley or the fall line will never come out.
This was Grace Jones' plan the whole time as a model.
Revenge. In terms of music, John Barry was able to include motifs from his musical score of On Her Majesty's Secret Service during some of the action scenes for the first time since he did that movie. And famously, Duran Duran got the opening theme job, co-written by Barry himself, when the bassist for the band, John Taylor, who is a huge Bond fan, sidled up to Albert R. Broccoli at a party and in a drunken moment asked, "When are you going to get someone decent to do one of your theme songs?"
They were big Bond fans. I mean, John Taylor knew everything about every Bond movie imaginable.
I was just getting the whole Bond experience. I fell in love with the cars, the clothes, the girls. But over time, you realized how impactful the music was. John Barry was the guy that gave pathos to Bond.
You grow up as a boy loving James Bond, wanting to be James Bond, wanting to be part of that story.
I went over to him and I said, when are you going to have a decent theme song again? And he said, you want to do it? I said, hell, yes.
Not this time.
Oh, I love this song. How dare.
Here's the thing. I think it's a good song. I think it does the, what you call it? Spy Who Loved Me thing where they make a good song and then just add the title.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You could tell me that this was a just completely regular Duran Duran song and that they just added a line, and I'd believe you.
I
Did not write this for.
I don't
James Bond.
disagree with that.
To be fair, when I first heard the song in my in my youth, I did think that it was just called "Dance into the Fire" and not "A View to a Kill." So there is some logic to this theory.
They do say it much more than they actually say "A View to a Kill" in the song. So yeah.
Mhm.
But also, "A View to a Kill" doesn't mean anything.
No,
It really doesn't.
even when they said it in the movie later, I
Right.
was just like, you're trying.
Yeah.
You're gonna pull a muscle stretching like that.
That would be like if every time somebody said Goldfinger's last name in Goldfinger, they like turned to the camera and winked. Like we got it, guys. Barry found the collaboration with Duran Duran difficult because tension in the band left him feeling like no one was in charge of the song.
You just want to have a simple conversation with somebody, and and all of a sudden, they're like 4 or 5 guys sat there, and they maybe don't like each other. They're all, and it's, and then you don't know who you're talking to. You know, who can I? Who's the authority here?
We tended to be doing it in little groups, and then there was arguments about which bit was better than another bit, and we weren't really talking a lot at that time. We absolutely split into factions.
You know, the internal workings of groups. You could write a book thicker than the Bible on those kind of things.
Yeah, I mean, John was amazing. You know, I mean, he was a dick, but he was an amazing guy.
He was a tricky guy, but he knew what he wanted. He didn't know how to get it politely.
But the song was #1. So
You'd say he would basically sort of have to be the go-between. He'd be talking to like the bassist about what they wanted to do, and then he'd be talking to Simon Le Bon, the lead singer, and ultimately it works out for them. And they said that their working with Barry was fruitful for them because they liked the direction he was able to take the band, but he was also a major dick. The song becomes the first Bond theme to hit #1 in the charts in the United States and #2 in Britain, which was helped in part by a very of its time music video. I don't know if either of you have seen the music video, but it is the band running around the Eiffel Tower, and Simon Le Bon gets to cheekily deliver the
Unto
Bond, Simon Le Bon, while wearing a beret. So
These people are so embarrassed.
I wonder if his bandmates gave him any shit about doing that.
Oh, they did. Not only did they do it, they also did it in a James Bond documentary about the music of James Bond.
Yeah, he did it. He did it with the beret. He didn't just do it, he did it with a beret on his head.
The film also contains a cover version of the Beach Boys song California Girls by the tribute band Gidea Park with Adrian Baker. Why the film couldn't afford the original is unknown. Adrian Baker went on to perform with the actual Beach Boys in concerts throughout the 80s and the 90s, and I only bring this up because I believe that's the Mike Love version of the Beach Boys, and as always, fuck Mike Love forever.
Amen.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't expect either of you to join me in that, but I'm a big Beach Boys fan, and Mike Love can go away. The film became the first James Bond film to hold its world premiere outside of the UK, opening on May 22nd, 1985 at San Francisco's Palace of the Fine Arts. And I guess this was just Broccoli trying to thank San Francisco for letting them shoot there so much, which is a nice thing, but it's kind of crazy that it didn't open in the UK first, like it always did. The film ends up grossing $152.4 million worldwide on a budget of $30 million, a far cry from Moore's first outing in Live and Let Die, which was budgeted at $7 million in 1973. Grossing $13.3 million on its first weekend in the US and Canada, the best opening of a James Bond movie to date. But, well, to that date. But still not enough to beat out Rambo First Blood Part 2 for the #1 spot in Reagan's America.
Hate it. Rambo movies, not for me.
They're not good. That's why.
Yeah.
The reviews were bad, but somehow perhaps worse than usual, with Moore's age being the main target of most of them. This included Sean Connery himself saying Bond should be played by an actor 35 or 33 years old. I'm too old. Roger's too old too. The modern reviews of the film have also not been kind, except for the standout performance of Grace Jones.
You know what? I've seen You Only Live Twice, so That's all I will say about that. I had a great time with this movie. Critics are wrong. They also say Moonraker's bad, and
I was gonna say,
Moonraker's a
yeah,
masterpiece.
they're not always
Yeah.
right.
How can you hate on a James Bond movie that has a pigeon doing a double take? Come on.
Exactly.
And this one gave us, blessed our screens with Grace Jones, who gave us my all-time favorite song about parallel parking, Pull Up to the Bumper.
That's what that song is about, correct, Brian?
Yes, I really wish all these music fans would take their minds out of the gutter. It is
I
about
know.
it is about parking your car and nothing else.
This is a Christian household. What are you talking about?
Exactly. God, when she performs it in Bloodlight and Bammy, not to keep bringing up Bloodlight and Bammy, but it's such a good documentary. And my favorite bit in that movie is she is in her 60s. She has a son in his 30s. There's a scene where they are driving around Paris in the back of a limo at 3 a.m. And he's like, Mom, we have to go to bed. Like, we have to. And she's like, no. She's like, you're the young person. You should be partying. Like, what? Like, I have places to go. I'm like, oh, I fucking love Grace Jones.
No wonder Roger Moore had somebody bang on the wall. Although that is me and Grandma Shirley behavior. Grandma Shirley will stay up later than me. Look out, y'all.
She's like, pop another bottle of champagne, Shells. We gotta stay up.
Exactly. She's a party animal.
Moore himself was critical of the film as well, saying at the time that it was his least favorite Bond film, finding the violence of the film's final act too extreme for a James Bond movie, and being horrified to find out that he was older than his love interest, Tanya Roberts' mother. Yeah. 6 months after the film was released, Roger Moore and Eon announced that this would be his final Bond film. He talks a little bit about this in his book, Bond on Bond, where he says, like it was very quiet, he just went to lunch with Albert R. Broccoli and was like, I'm done. And Albert R. Broccoli was like, that's fine. But he did say that in Bond on Bond that he remembers going to the premiere and people kept being like, are you going to do another one? And him being like, you never know, because he's like, you can't open a movie by telling people you're not going to do another one.
Exactly. Like, you just have to keep it vague.
Exactly. Before we get into the plot of the movie, as the final outing for James Bond, how do either of you feel about this? I'm, for Roger Moore as James Bond, I should say, I'm left a little wanting. I think, once again, I think the cast is great. I think the script underserves a lot of them. And that's the really unfortunate thing. But I don't know. I'm so torn on the, like, he's too old. He is. I get it. And you can definitely see the stuntman when the stuntman is taking over for doing stuff
I
for
was
him.
about to say, when we get to it, there's a part where I'm like, that's a stunt double and a dummy.
Yes. Oh my God. There's a terrible dummy in this movie.
Yeah.
But I just think he's like so iconic that I just don't mind it in
He's
this
so
movie.
charming, I don't care.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm watching these movies, is because he's beautiful and charming. And it's not all about the stunts for me. And he's so funny and witty that I'm okay with it all. So, like, I don't know. I can't see past his eyes.
Brian, how about you?
I basically feel the same way about A View to a Kill that you do. It's like a great cast. The story and the script could have used a little more work. But his age never really was a deal breaker for me when watching the movies. Like, yes, he is obviously older than he was when he first started, but seeing him on screen as Bond and doing what Bond does, it never gave me flashbacks to Robert De Niro kicking the shit out of someone in The Irishman, where
Where you're
So-
concerned that he broke his foot.
yes. So it never really got to that point with me. The stunts were great. Grace Jones or Christopher Walken were such, wonderful over the top villains that they do help make the film be a lot more entertaining. But overall, like you said, I enjoyed it even if it is a bit lacking story-wise, but to go with Chell's, Roger Moore and his charm definitely helps carry the film to the finish line really well, I would say.
And I don't mind that the story is a little more simple, because I like that the villains are so cartoonish. Like, people say James Bond villain for a reason, and I feel like Christopher Walken and everything he's doing is that dictionary definition of, like, we're gonna, like, twirl our mustache and be a little too silly and, like, have our weird, like, Nazi experiment background, sure. But I think that's kind of why you watch it, because you don't want it to be so realistic. You want it to be the dose of goofy. And it's got them doses.
Yeah.
It sure does.
I definitely agree. I hesitate. It's still, I don't know if it will ever be one of my favorites, but it is. I do love it. And I know that's a weird distinction to be like, I love something, but it's not my favorite. But I'm also, I'm one of those people that doesn't mean best and favorite doesn't mean the same thing. And so, I did get to see this on the big screen last month, and it was my first time.
Nice.
Yeah, it was great. I got to see it at Metrograph, and it was my first time ever seeing A View to a Kill on the big screen, which is great. In the last year, I saw three James Bond movies on the big screen. I had seen Tomorrow Never Dies before when I was a teen. Just getting to see these movies, and we've talked about it a lot on the show in the past, that like seeing these films that have these physical stunts that are shot on film, and I hate sounding like a grandpa, but there's just something so magical about them.
Yeah.
And seeing them with an audience that is having a good time. There was a little bit of knowing laughter, which is one of my least favorite things, where people are just like laughing at everything because they think it's silly and
because they want to let the audience know that, hey, look at me, I'm in on the joke. I get it. I find this very fun. It's like no one cares. Just watch
no one
the
cares.
movie.
Exactly. It's not about you. It's like, and
I will take a dummy falling through the roof and hitting the boat over any CGI any day.
Yeah, I love really good CGI, but I do feel the exact same way that you do, that there's just something about real real people like doing real stunts right there on camera. It's like for me watching Carpenter's version of The Things. Like,
yeah,
it doesn't matter how dated the effects are. It's like when you see someone's arms getting bitten off and you see it crawling around. It's like, I will take that. I will take disgusting, realistic for its time looking puppeteering over flawless CGI. There's just something about it that just makes it a little more special, for me at least.
And once again, like, I don't want to give the impression that I'm anti CGI, because I do think CGI is beautiful and has a place, and especially when it's done really well. But they're just, especially in the 90s when it became so rampant and it was not polished yet. And I always am like, and then, now, like, we've mentioned the Fast and Furious movies before on this show too. And I think that's why a lot of people, when the stunts are good and real, are drawn to them, and why they like them.
That may actually have people of color in the movies.
Yeah,
that
women can be evil too. It's great. I love those stupid movies.
They're a lot of fun. They're
Even
way
with
more
Charlize
fun.
Theron's hair being a little questionable in her first appearance, but it's like, you know what? We don't care. It's Charlize.
Exactly.
We won't deny her.
Every
We don't
baby
deny her
gay
anything.
goes through a bad haircut phase, and she's still in it in that franchise.
At least she didn't show up in like dreads or something. Can you imagine?
Seriously.
But yeah, good. I think we're all kind of on the same page with A View to a Kill, and we'll talk a little bit more after the plot description as well as we will during the plot description, as we do on the show. So why don't I pull the file that says A View to a Kill off of the shelf in the Q Division, and why don't we get into the plot of the movie?
We open with a disclaimer before the gun barrel, clearing Eon of defamation against any real-life supervillains. And then we see our boy Roger Moore do his final gun barrel of the series. The barrel widens to reveal a Russian helicopter in what looks like the Arctic, and a lone James Bond on the skis locating a dead 003. Bond is spotted by the Russians, but not before locating a locket with a microchip in it. Bond skis away from the oncoming gunfire down treacherous slopes, losing one ski, stealing a snowmobile, losing the snowmobile, improvising a snowboard, basically popularizing the sport from then on, taking out a helicopter with a well-shot flare, and finally escaping in a submarine disguised as an ice floe. Listen, I did this last week. I don't see why it's impressive.
Exactly. It's still winter, so...
Exactly. On board, he meets with a female agent, tells her to put it on automatic, and immediately transforms the seat into a bed as he says they have 5 days to Alaska before embracing. She was very pretty. I don't remember her name, but she was very cute.
I think you don't remember her name because they didn't give her one.
It was on the Amazon X-ray feature. I think they
Ah.
gave her like default name, but she is cutie pie.
Much like the last time James Bond was given a time period in which he could be alone with a woman, I really wish she had been like, when he was like, we have 5 days to Alaska, I really wish she'd been like, yeah, but what else are we going to do with the other 4 days, 23 hours, 59 minutes?
I love it.
The sound of guitars bring us into Maurice Binder's latest pop art open, featuring women covered in ultraviolet paint, guns, frost, fire, skis, lasers, and so many fans.
Here's the thing. This sequence could have been made by me when I first entered film school and was learning Avid and took an edible, and I could have made this. I
Yeah,
probably have made this.
I thought you were going to say that this too was something that you did last week.
I mean, also that too.
Yeah, this is not my favorite open, but I will say, I know that shot at the very beginning of the woman unzipping her ski suit and the 007 being in Dayglow in her décolletage between her breasts. I think that for some reason, even though I know this film is not made, that is like the opening sequences are solely made for the film, for the male gaze. I was like, there's something fucking queer about that.
There is something queer because you're using one of Paige's made-up words that we use on the Drag Race podcast and bringing it over here trying to confuse me.
Is that décolletage? Is that
Anything with more than 3 syllables is a made-up word.
Yeah, because I mean, it's too silly. Like that's why, like that, it can't be straight. It's too silly.
No.
To reveal in the cleavage that is written in it's 007 written in Dayglow paint. Like, come on.
Another decision I chalk up to cocaine.
Yeah.
Good for them.
There was a lot of snow in that opening sequence. That's all I could say.
Which is also the reason as to why they would include California Girls in that sequence, because just like, okay, it's cool to see Bond snowboard, but why the Beach Boys of all?
Right.
Like,
Why not?
Yeah, all weird choices.
Back in England, Bond enters Miss Moneypenny's office and M tells them to stop flirting. Never. They have a job to do. All the while, Bond tries to steal Moneypenny's big floppy hat. In M's office, Bond encounters a remote control surveillance machine and Q at the helm of it. Q fills Bond, M, and the Minister of Defense about how electromagnetic pulses could be used to take out all of the computers in Britain, but they have developed a microchip impervious to such an attack. This is just a sonic screwdriver, by the way.
Yeah.
All
Oh, yeah.
it is.
However, it has been discovered that the KGB has stolen their plans for such a microchip through evil millionaire Max Zorin and his company Zorin Industries. The minister balks at the idea of it being Zorin as he is a starch anti-communist, but M thinks they should investigate anyway, giving 007 35 minutes to get into proper attire. Dun dun dun.
My favorite scene of the whole franchise.
I do love that he's like proper attire and more like looks at his suit like, fuck you. Like, look, I'm dressed nice.
Exactly. He's always dressed nice.
it's like talking to me like I'm dressed on The Sopranos in a tracksuit. It's like, what
Yeah,
are you talking about?
exactly. Like Bond showed up to office in sweats. Like, or like one of those shirts that has like the glamour shots, but it's all just Miss Moneypenny and says Moneypenny in big letters over the top.
I do need that shirt.
Yes,
Of
I will
course you
make it
do.
for you.
At the racetrack, Miss Moneypenny is having a grand old time as she, Q, Bond, and M all spy on Zorin and his special horses. M gives Bond the rundown on Zorin, including that he speaks 5 languages with no accent. Okay, Christopher Walken, sure.
Yes.
And that he's a self-made man. Christopher Walken has his own accent, by the way.
Well, that's what I was going to
He
say.
really does.
There are 2 amazing lines in this movie. One of them being that Christopher Walken speaks without an accent. He doesn't speak English without an accent. How does he going to speak 5 other languages without an accent?
And mind you, he's a KGB agent, or at least
Right.
he's supposed to be.
Who was also maybe born in Germany?
Yeah, like as a Nazi experiment, y'all. Okay. M also fills Bond in on Mayday, the love of my life. Also with Zoran and how she remains a mystery. Just getting Grace Jones and Miss Moneypenny in the same scene. I'm calling her Grace Jones. She's not Mayday. She's Grace Jones. Y'all, this best scene of the franchise. Miss Moneypenny is cussing up a storm at the tracks. Let her go wild.
We needed more scenes of Lois Maxwell as Moneypenny gambling and just
Having a hootin' time.
just cutting loose outside of the office.
Come on, Fluke! Move your ass! Who's number one? The grey with him?
That's Pegasus, Zoran's horse.
Oh!
With the cane, is that Max Zorin?
Yes. Born in Dresden, fled from East Germany in the 60s. French passport, speaks at least 5 languages, no accent. Now the talk of the city and the boss.
Come on, Fluke!
The old rags to riches story.
He made his first fortune in oil and gas trading. Now a second in electronics and high tech.
Who's that with him under the hat? With the red dress? Girlfriend?
Oh, we're not sure about her. American. She's never far from him. Name's Mayday.
And dressed for the occasion.
She's so good. And it is, I love this scene because you are getting them out of the office, but also it makes no sense whatsoever. And I'm going to talk about this later with General Gogol as well. But like, why is M there? M is Bond's boss. He doesn't need to be there. Why is Q there? Q doesn't need to be there. Miss Moneypenny literally doesn't need to be there, but I'm happy they are.
Have you not heard of an office Easter party, Gavin?
It's Law and Order SVU logic. Is like Benson, now that she's captain or lieutenant or whatever she is, she does not ever need to leave her desk, and yet she keeps leaving her desk all the damn time.
She has to look at every crime scene herself to make sure there was a real crime and then solve it like a mentalist.
Mm-hmm. Because she can't stay away from iced tea. And who can?
Yeah. Jinx. Moneypenny and crew lose the race as Zoran wins, meeting with Sir Godfrey Tibbett, MI6's resident horse trainer. However, the horse starts to panic as Tibbett explains that he believes Zoran is cheating. Mayday calms the horse, and Bond hands Moneypenny his winning bet, as he himself had bet on Zoran's horse Pegasus, unlike the rest of them. Also, why didn't the rest of them, like, they knew they were there to investigate Zoran. They knew he was going to win. Why did they bet on his horse?
Moneypenny clearly had a few too many and was like, that one, the cute one. Talking about the horses.
Yes.
Also, it's clear how much you like someone if you're willing to give them your winning bet at a horse race.
Yeah. Very true.
There's a reason they go off in the sunset at the end of this film. Did you guys miss that scene?
It must have been after the credits, unfortunately.
Exactly. Post-credits, like the Avengers. In Paris, Bond meets his contact in the restaurant in the Eiffel Tower, pumping him for info about Zoran. Just then, a butterfly show starts as a woman whistles to puppet butterflies on fishing wires. This took me out and I loved it.
Yeah, I have more to say, but please continue.
That's the 80s.
Bond notices one of the butterfly puppeteers is attacked and the butterfly sticks to Bond's contact and poisons him. I love it. Bond gives chase further up the tower as the person he's chasing dives off the structure and parachutes back into Paris. Bond jumps on top of an elevator heading back down, steals a car, and follows the parachute through traffic, downstairs, and onto the top of the bus. His car loses its top and is cut in half by another car hitting it.
This is a wild... It keeps going. It does not stop there.
We're not done. I'm just giggling too much. The parachute lands on top of a party barge, and Bond catches up, jumps from a bridge to the top of the boat, through it, and into a wedding cake of a wedding happening inside. This is where the crash dummy comes in. He congratulates the couple, but the assassin gets away on a speedboat as Bond is taken away by angry chefs. The assassin is revealed to be Mayday, obviously. Zoran's the one driving the speedboat away with them, and they cackle and laugh as they get away. Ha ha ha, y'all. What a beautiful paragraph. Gavin did this on purpose.
I'm just glad that you only said butterfly puppeteers twice, because I was starting to double over with laughter.
Cocaine does beautiful things.
Clearly.
I have so many things to say about this. This is a real thing. This butterfly performance.
I want to take an edible and go to a butterfly puppeteer show and see what happens.
I went to something close to that. I went to without me being on edibles, unfortunately, I went to the Museum of Natural History and there was an exhibit on butterflies there. I don't know what it is. I don't know. Maybe it was just my skincare routine or what, but I got ambushed by a couple of butterflies. I have photos of it. They literally just flew over to me, landed on me, and I was just like, I don't know what to do at this moment. I don't want to shoot them away. It's just like, what do I do? And my partner
Nothing.
just saw this happen and just like took photos, just like, yeah, that'll solve the issue. And I think someone came along and took the butterflies away, and we were able to continue our journey.
I was going to say the pheromones were moaning.
But none of them poisoned you. And that's the real
To your knowledge.
yeah, to your
Yeah,
knowledge.
I didn't get ambushed by, Grace Jones dressed like a ninja, unfortunately, but
Oh, the dream.
So this act is apparently a real act that they saw in Vegas that was done by illusionist Dominique Reisberg. They were like, we need this in the film. That is not Dominique Reisberg playing the part. It is another actress that goes by the name of Carol Ashby, and but they did give the character the name Dominique. None of this is really important, but it's insane that this is a real thing. That's all I want to like. This butterfly act is a real thing.
If you can puppet something, you might as well. I'd rather it be Muppet butterflies, but you know what? Beggars can't be choosers.
definitely a case of nice work if you can get it.
Yes, absolutely. I love this chase sequence. It's insane. I mean, I think at this point they were literally just like, what's the most insane thing we can do? And they're like, take the top off the car, break the car in half. Like, it's comedy, but I think it works really well. And also the skydive off the Eiffel Tower is cool. Like, it's hard to deny that. However, I think one of the dummies you're talking about that you observed earlier, Chels, is perhaps the dummy of Roger Moore crashing through the ceiling of the party barge and into a wedding cake.
There is somehow both a stunt person and a dummy because all three body types are different, from Roger Moore to dummy to stunt person.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm okay with it.
It just adds to the comedy. There was a deleted scene of Bond being arrested and M having to come bail him out, and it's one of those funny, like, it's essentially, it was a way for them to shoehorn the like Q Division scene that they normally do in the movie, where like a guy's giving him back his personal effects and it's all the crazy Q gadgets, like he has like a thing that like burns off his eyebrows and whatnot. I understand why they took it out of the movie. It would have kind of ruined the pacing, but it's a very funny scene and I highly recommend looking it up.
I need to look that up.
Your personal effects. One watch. Most unusual.
From Russia. With love.
One pen and one lighter. Ah bah merde, non, c'est pas possible. Mais bordel, mais enlevez-moi tout ça. Get out!
M bails Bond out of jail and chastises him for his lack of subtlety. Bond fills M in on the only thing he learned, that Zorin is having a thoroughbred sale there in France. Tibbet, dressed as Bond's valet, and Bond make their way to a massive estate holding the sale, with Bond going by the name St. John Smythe. There he meets Scarpine, who heads Zorin's security. Scarpine, I hate this name. Scarpine shows Bond around and tells Bond that Zorin is interested in meeting him. Bond is then led to his quarters not far from Mayday's after meeting Jenny Flex, another of Zorin's servants. Bond and Tibbet then check the room for bugs, and when they spot one, start a recording of Bond berating Tibbet as his servant. They then retreat to the balcony where Tibbet tells Bond he saw Zorin's horse Pegasus disappear from the stable earlier, and they should look into it. Bond also spots Zorin greeting Stacey Sutton as she arrives by helicopter.
I really liked the scene of the, like, recording and the berating. It was very funny to me that they just had to sit there and listen to that. I love that little spycrafty stuff.
I also love the idea that at some point Bond and Tibbet sat down and just recorded hours of him berating him.
And Bond had the most fun doing that.
Oh, absolutely.
At the reception later, where the theme seems to be white people.
True.
I mean,
I was trying to figure it out. I was like, why are some of them dressed like it's 17th century France? What is happening?
white people. Bond watches Stacy being led to a private room before Mayday sends him away. Bond then dons spy glasses that let him see Zoran attempting to buy Stacy off through a window. Those glasses were so silly. I loved it.
The funny thing is there is a fashionable quality to them. If they didn't have the crazy, like they have the most obvious, you would think that they would just have like a button you push and then they would tint. But no, he has
Or
like
that-
sliders.
Just the fact that it needs the thing to slide it, I don't think you needed the thing. Maybe a little click. Who knows?
He might as well have just been walking around with a virtual boy. And
Yes.
if you don't know what a virtual boy is, ask your parents and your aunties. They'll tell you.
Yeah, you're too young for this podcast. No, kidding. Please continue to listen.
Please listen. He then sneaks into a room after they leave and uses a wallet scanner to create a carbon copy of a check for $5 million. I need one of those. Bond then exits the room and runs into a creepy old German man who brings him back to the party. He introduces himself as Dr. Karl Mortner. And Bond uses his ring to take pictures of him and Bob Connolly, an oil man at the party. Dr. Mortner tells Bond the secret to the horses isn't just breeding, but conditioning. Yee. Zoran interrupts them and interrogates Bond. Bond, of course, lets on that he knows Zoran was behind the death in the Eiffel Tower restaurant before stealing a bottle of champagne and introducing himself to Stacy. I, too, would be stealing champagne at these parties.
So would I.
This scene is my other favorite moment in the movie, which is when he introduces himself to Stacy and he's like, the name's Smythe, James St. John Smythe. I'm British.
Hello. I thought you might like to join the party. By the way, the name is James St. John Smythe. I'm English.
I never would have guessed.
It's just like, are you? Wow. And she kind of responds the same. She's like, couldn't have guessed.
He's so funny.
Zoran demands that Mayday separate them, and Zoran tells security to keep an eye on Mr. St. John Smythe. That night, Tibbet and Bond, unbeknownst to each other, sneak into the stable to discover the horse secrets, where an entire stall drops them down into a lab. Bond cracks the combination locked door, while Tibbet notices Pegasus has had surgery. Bond postulates that Dr. Mortner has been implanting the horses with microchips that release natural steroids into the horses during the race to keep them from fatigue, and released remotely by a control most likely hidden in the top of Zoran's cane. Bond and Tibbet are caught, though, just as they make their way to Zoran's microchip shipping factory. They take out the guards, box them up, and head out after a poorly edited fight scene. Oh, the match cutting in this fight scene, so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still don't understand how fake ass Jaws, who kind of looks like Dom DeLuise, ended up on the conveyor belt and boxed up. It's just like he had a box fall on him and he just got tired, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like they could have just sneakied their way out of this one and like shortened the film a little. They didn't need all that.
No.
I once again, I understand it's an action movie, and I'm going to postulate about this a little later, but yeah, one too many of these non-consequential scenes in this film.
Meanwhile, Zoran and Mayday are training and also flirting in a sadomasochistic way. When Mayday is called away, the guards and boxes are discovered. It's so goofy. Tibbet and Bond try to make their way back to their rooms, but not before Zoran and Mayday have a look around Bond's. Mayday finally remembers him as the man at the Eiffel Tower, only to be surprised to find Bond in her bed. Zoran smiles and lets Mayday join Bond, and as the two spend the night together, and Dr. Mortner realizes someone has been in his lab. Dun dun.
Dun dun dun.
Very that. I think one of the big problems with this movie is somehow, even though you have Christopher Walken and Grace Jones, they are not given enough to do. And so I think the scene where they're practicing and what could be seen, because he pins her down and forcibly kisses her, what could be seen as like a kind of shocking, and when she gets called away, she like turns over and is like, damn, like she was like, whoa, we got interrupted. And
I know.
I think
especially
it adds,
considering that she was like literally trying to bite him at
Yeah.
least twice.
Yeah. And I like that it adds texture to their characters, because I think one of the major flaws to this is, like, we're told so much about Max and a little bit about Mayday, but they're never fleshed out. And so it's nice to have these little moments of texture to be like, oh, these people are into some stuff.
I think they needed that element just a little throughout, a little BDSM element throughout the whole movie.
Yeah.
Like, maybe they just keep throwing each other against walls or something. I don't know.
Mm.
Bite each other a little bit more. Let Grace Jones have fun.
Exactly. She's having a good old time.
I see you're a woman of very few words.
What's there to say?
The next morning, Bond meets Zoran in his office, and my maybe third favorite line in the movie is Max Zoran asking him how he slept, and he said, "A little restless, but I got off eventually." Oh, too good. Zoran pretends to run through his horse records in his computer, but he is instead recording Bond and gaining access to his secret file, the computer warning him that Bond is dangerous and has a license to kill. He then invites Bond to join him on his morning ride.
I did like this scene. Good for him. Use your technologies.
I just also love, I get that he's like a high-priced businessman, but like, why does he have access to Bond's secret file?
I was wondering the same. I kind of wanted the same thing, although I did just love how funny and taken aback he was as you just kept learning more about him. It was like, oh, he has a license to kill. Oh, he's a secret agent. That is amazing.
Yeah.
It's like, girl, work. In his own little Christopher Walken way.
He does play it very well, where he's just like, oh, like
he's like, ooh, we can have fun with this one.
Although going back to one of the earlier scenes, one of the other moments of Walken's that I did like was when he sees James St. John Smythe talking to Stacy, and he goes over to Mayday. He's like, get her away from him. Like, he's like, you're telling one of your girls, it's like, oh my God, that fuckboy's flirting with one of my girls. Get her away from him. Quick.
Yeah, exactly. Go save her.
Yes.
Get her away from him.
I'm sure I've seen him somewhere before.
He immediately went to Demi Lovato and were like, get a job. Stay away from her.
I use that way too much. Bond sends Tibbet out to get the car washed as cover for having him call M and trace the check he found earlier. He then joins Zoran for the ride, instantly discovering it's a trap. Tibbet is followed by Jenny Flex. Great name, by the way.
So good.
But unbeknownst to him, Mayday has hidden away in the backseat and kills him at the car wash. You know, that's why I hate the car wash.
One of the advantages of seeing this with a live audience was there was a girl 2 seats over who screamed when she saw Mayday come up in the back.
I love that.
I was like, this is what I want. I love the live.
We come to this place for magic.
Exactly. I was just about to say, is like, this is what Nicole Kidman tells us every single time, and why they need to bring back the full ad instead of giving us these shortened versions.
Agreed.
Which are homophobic.
Yes.
Zoran's men chase Bond through an ever-changing horse obstacle course. Just the phrase ever-changing horse obstacle course tells you everything you need to know about this franchise.
Mm-hmm.
But Bond is too sly for them and catches up to Zoran anyways. However, Zoran activates Bond's horse steroid injection, causing Bond to ride off the track. He makes his way to Tibbet's car, only to find Mayday in the driver's seat and Tibbet dead in the back. She really had to, like, drag him in there. That is so rude. Bond tells Zoran he made a mistake in killing Tibbet, and Zoran tells Bond no one will miss him.
You lost, 007.
Killing Tibbet was a mistake.
I'm about to make the same mistake twice.
My department know I'm here. When I don't report, they'll retaliate.
If you're the best they have, they'll more likely try to cover up your embarrassing incompetence.
Don't count on it, Zoran.
You amuse me, Mr. Bond.
Well, it's not mutual.
They knock out Bond and load him in the car, driving it into a nearby lake and pushing the car with Bond and Tibbet's body into it. Zoran and Mayday watch as they think Bond drowns, but Bond escapes the car and uses the air in the tires to keep himself from suffocating. Good old Michelin. Zoran and Mayday kiss and then depart. Again, we come to this place for magic.
Michelin must have paid so much money because they not only get the Michelin Man earlier when Tibbet goes to wash the car, like there's a full-on Michelin Man poster, but then there's a huge close-up of their logo on the tires as James Bond is sucking oxygen out of it.
So funny. I'm okay
Kids,
with
don't
it.
try this at home.
Please don't. Don't go drown yourself in a lake with a tire. First off, that tire would not sink like that.
I do love, once again, the little bits of texture of having Zorin and Mayday like bond, not to
You said it.
yeah, exactly, pun unintended, over Bond's death, and they're just like, oh, this is hot, let's make out.
Good for them. Match each other's freak a little bit.
A little bit. Back at Zorin's compound, he is met with General Gogol and his Russian goons, including Dolph Lundgren. Gogol warns Zorin that the KGB is watching him and that there is no leaving the KGB who trained him. Another agent then calls him a biological experiment and a freak before Mayday throws him. She literally picks him up over her head and throws him. Later, in a boardroom, Zorin threatens a group of businessmen and tells them that he plans on taking over their microchip businesses by making them accomplices in destroying Silicon Valley. One man requests to leave, and Mayday sees him out of the blimp they are on, dropping him into San Francisco Bay below. In the cockpit, Mayday says, "Wow, what a view," to a kill, Zorin whispers back at her.
Again, pulling some muscles with that stretch.
I wish Mayday had been like, what?
That was us in the audience.
Yeah.
I just appreciate the shot of Grace Jones lifting that man and carrying him the way she was carrying this movie.
And perhaps I'm stretching too far with the credulity of the James Bond series because we've already run into super strong hench people before with Jaws, who is also seemingly immortal.
Yes.
Are we to believe Grace Jones and the rest of Scarpine and Jenny Flex and the unnamed Asian woman hench person are all also part of this program that Max Zorin was part of as a kid, and that's how they're all like super strong, super athletic? Or
if not as a kid, I choose to believe that they're also like got some microchips injecting some steroids or like something.
I hadn't
in
thought about
them.
that. Yeah.
Look at me.
Okay.
Look at my soap opera mind.
Because my other question was then going to be, why would they be so multi-ethnic if it was a Nazi breeding program?
You know what? The Nazis loved to test on people of color.
That's also true. That's actually very true.
Unfortunately so.
Yeah.
Oh, no more laughs to be had after that.
Oh, just ruined your guys' day.
Only when the Nazis die at the end, but we're getting to that part.
We'll get there. Don't worry. Bond meets his CIA contact Chuck Lee, disguised as a fishmonger. I did like that little moment, the soft crab. That got me good.
I will say, as a code word, like people actually do buy soft shell crab.
I was gonna say it's like it's a British man looking for soft shell crab.
Right. There has to be, I guess, like a series of things that Chuck Lee was informed out. They're like, okay, he's gonna be British. Because
he's
if
gonna
not,
be a tad old, but he's gonna have the most piercing eyes that look right into your soul and make you question your sexuality.
he's just giving away top secret information to every person who orders soft shell crab that day.
And then they're just confused. They're like, "I'm just hungry."
Yeah.
Why are you telling me about microchips?
What's a microchip at that point? Bond asks about the oil man, Stacy, and the doctor from the party. Turns out Dr. Mortner is actually Hans Glaub? Glaub. I don't care about pronouncing a Nazi scientist's name correctly. But you know what? He's an expert on steroids and eugenics. Only a handful of kids survive from his experiments with vast IQs but psychotic tendencies. Whoopsies. Bond and Lee posit that Zorin might be one of those steroid kids. A fisherman also tells Bond that Zorin's oil pumping station has caused massive loss of crabs since its move. A massive loss of crabs since it moved in? I wonder what that could be about.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why soft shell crab is the code word.
Oh, could be, actually.
Wait, did I just think of something?
They're like, we're going to put this line in, and someday, 40 years later, people will get it.
The dumbest person on the podcast will get it. I'm a beautiful dummy. I claim it.
I don't think you're dumb at all, Chels.
That makes two of us.
Just simple. I'm just simple.
Bond scubas to the station and notices he's not the only one spying. After almost getting himself killed by a fan inside one of the oil pumps, Bond gets away, but one of the other spies, who are revealed to be Russian, are caught in his place. Zorin then has the spy fed to the fan, and Bond makes it back to land only to run into Russian agent Paula Ivanova, who had been recording Zorin. Bond and Ivanola make their way to a Japanese bath where they rented a room to fool around. Bond then switches out her tape as they make love in a bath to Tchaikovsky. Paula, knowing that he has double-crossed her, takes the tape and runs out of the room while he showers to a car waiting nearby, driven by General Gogol himself. He pops the tape into the car's tape deck, and it plays Japanese music. She has been triple-crossed. Bond listens to the tape of Zorin talking about the Silicon Valley operation and takes notes, saying that it will happen in 3 days.
I never expected to see General Gogol this much in the franchise.
He's one of my favorite recurring characters. But once again, why? Why is General Gogol driving a car around San Francisco? General Gogol is the equivalent of M.
He should have a driver at the very least.
Yes.
The lady should be driving for him, at least.
Yeah, or have Dolph Lundgren pop up again.
Yeah, Dolph Lundgren would have been great. I don't even think Gogol has any lines. So, like, you could easily have Dolph Lundgren play it. I like when they create a character that Bond has a past with. And so I like that this Paula Ivanova is somebody that he's previously run into on an adventure. I like that they clearly have slept together before.
Right.
I love that she has that great line, like, isn't détente fun? You know, like So I like all that stuff, but there's so much of this that doesn't necessarily make any, like, once they heard that he'd switched out the tapes, why do they not come back? Bond just sits there and plays the tape.
She could have listened in. If it was Barbara Bach in this role, she would have listened in. She would have gone back.
She's a better agent than that.
Way better.
It also is just another situation of Bond being bad at his job. Like, he literally goes into a pipe that he knows has a giant fan in it, and then is surprised when it almost kills him.
Well, he was distracted by, Paula telling him about how the bubbles tickle her Tchaikovsky.
Yeah, that's true. He was thinking about what was going to happen later. He's like, yeah.
Good for them. Bond, then disguised as a reporter at the Financial Times, interviews a man at the Department of Conservation in California. As he's leaving, he spots Stacy and waits for her to leave, following her home. He then uses his sharper image card to unlock her window and sneak into her barely furnished home. There's a jump scare involving a cat. Good kitty kitty. As he sneaks into her room as she showers. Except she's not really in the shower, as she sneaks up behind him with a shotgun thinking he's a Zorin stooge. Good for her. Luckily he's there, as 2 actual Zorin men try to kill her, and he uses her shotgun to ward them off, only to find out it's filled with rock salt. That would still hurt a little bit.
Oh my God, yeah. There would still be blood, like, because
Yes.
it embeds itself in skin.
Like, salt, sharp. He then fights men. Sorry. I looked ahead for a second. He then fights men hand to hand as she uses her grandfather's urn to save him. The men run off and Stacy invites Bond to dinner, but instead he cooks her a perfect quiche, something she's never heard of. You know what? As a person who doesn't cook, I don't blame her. I cook personally. You can tell she does not. She is a busy lady of the land.
I maybe should save this for the end where we talk about, I don't like Stacey Sutton, and I feel bad, and I don't think it's Tanya Roberts' fault. I think this is a case of, like, very much sort of like the beginning of Roger Moore's tenure as James Bond, where the women are weirdly ditzy for some unknown reason. And
yeah, like, who's the one who puts the, like, cassette tape in her butt in that one movie and you can clearly see it because it's a bikini?
Yeah, that's Tiffany Case in Diamonds Are Forever. And it's very that, where it's like
that energy to her.
Yeah, where she's, like, clearly capable because she knows to trick Bond with the shower and the shotgun. She knows that, like, she has no choice but to break her grandfather's urn over a man's head to save him. But then literally after this, she basically becomes useless for the rest of the movie. And all
Yeah.
she does is spend most of it screaming James at Bond.
Yes.
And it's a little frustrating because once again, I don't feel like it's Tanya Roberts' fault. I just think she got stuck with a bad character.
Yes.
Yeah, especially considering that she talks about how much her grandfather loved to fight, and you would think.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was one of my favorite lines. He loved a good fight. I also love to fight.
And you would think with her saying something like that, we'd like, oh, okay, so, Stacy gives as well as she gives, as well as she gets, but like you said, they really don't do anything with her after that.
Yeah.
Although I will say I'm just glad that this scene of James sneaking up on a Bond girl in the shower turns out much better than what happened with Maud Adams and The Man with the Golden Gun, where he turns into an abusive dick towards her in order to get the information he wants.
Yeah. Stacy tells Bond that Zorin stole her family's oil company.
Ah, you were telling me about your grandfather.
He left Sutton Oil to Dad, who expected me as the only child to take it over someday. So, at college, I studied geology.
And then what happened?
Zorin. He took over Sutton Oil in a rigged proxy fight. I fought him in the courts. It's taken everything I had, all the cash, the furniture, everything. So I took this job as state geologist, and I've just managed to hold on to this house and my shares.
Well, that's what the $5 million were for, your shares.
10 times more than they're worth.
However, she's not interested and tears up the $5 million check. Bond then tucks her in later that night and falls asleep in the chair next to her bed, guarding her. He's awakened the next morning by a tremor noticed only by Stacy's pets. She notes the tremors are coming from Zorin's oil fields, and that could be incredibly, incredibly dangerous. Stacy reports the findings to her boss and is immediately fired. Bond and Stacy fill Chuck Lee in on what they know, and they plan to return to City Hall to get the plans to figure out how Zorin plans to flood the faults under Silicon Valley, destroying it. However, as Lee sets out to inform his superiors, he's killed in the same manner as Tibbet, as Mayday is in his back seat. This is another, we could have been stripping down some, we didn't need her to go to the office, them to come back to her house, them to go back to the office again. It's kind of disjointed plotting. I will also say you can tell this movie was written by men because Mayday is able to kill two different people by just being in their backseat twice. And every woman I've ever met knows to check the backseat of their car as soon as they get in.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking through all the windows, under the car, behind the car. Y'all don't want to go near a car with me. I might hurt you.
So yeah, and I honestly think it's good advice for everybody to check the back seat. But I know specifically so many women who've told me that they don't get into a car until they check the back seat, and I don't blame them. It sucks.
Mm-hmm.
It sucks to be a woman.
It really does. Back at City Hall, Stacy and Bond sneak into her old office, only to be ambushed by Zorin and Mayday. They have her boss call the police, shoot him, and set City Hall on fire. Bond lets slip that he knows all about Zorin being a science experiment.
That's rather neat, don't you think?
Brilliant. I'm almost speechless with admiration.
Intuitive improvisation. It's the secret of genius.
Herr Dr. Mortner would be proud of his creation.
As Zorin and Mayday trap Bond and Stacy in an elevator while the building burns around them. I mean, I'm rooting for Mayday, so I see nothing wrong here.
I love that Bond is always letting the bad guy know what he never holds anything close to the chest, even though he's a spy. He's always like, "Hey, you killed that guy in France, right? Or you're a science freak, right?" He's just constantly like.
And it's not even as a taunt or anything, which it could be. He's just really bad at being a spy sometimes.
Yeah. But that's what bothered me earlier in the movie when Mayday finally realizes Bond was the guy that chased her in Paris, because Bond literally tells Zorin he knows about the murder of the guy in Paris with the fly casting comment and whatnot. So there's just elements of this script specifically, that just don't work for me, and I wish they did. I really, as Roger Moore's final James Bond, I really want it to be like an amazing outing, and it
has
okay
all
outing.
the ingredients. It just needs to be simmered a little bit more and just refined.
Yeah, because this moment of Zorin and Mayday in the office together and Zoran being like crazy and whatnot is fun, and it gives Christopher Walken something to do, but it isn't enough.
He could be crazier.
Yeah, exactly. He could have been crazier. There could have been a little more back and forth between James and Stacy and Zorn and Mayday
Right.
about his scheme, about how evil it is, and how it's going to make him a multi-billionaire, and how he doesn't care, who gets killed as a result. Just it needs to be more like Bond versus Goldfinger, when Bond realizes what Goldfinger has planned, and Goldfinger is just so proud of himself that he literally urges him to continue talking about what his plan is, because he's so proud of what he has in store.
Oh, I do love that.
And
Yeah.
unfortunately we didn't get that here.
Mhm.
No. And like they could even use Bond now has a prior relationship with Mayday, and admittedly it was a one-night stand, but they could have used that against him. Like they could have made Stacy not trust Bond, and that would then like give us more for what comes in the next scene, where she kind of doesn't trust him for a bit. But it just, like you said, it's just not simmered enough. It didn't, it doesn't taste quite right, I guess.
Exactly.
That lack of trust could have added a little more suspense to when James and Stacy are trying to escape from the burning elevator.
Exactly. Speaking of, they escape by climbing out of the elevator car and into the shaft, and Bond makes his way to the adjoining shaft and back out to the hall. Stacy, thinking she's been abandoned, screams her head off. Bond returns with a fire hose and uses it to pull her up. They make their way out of the building by the roof and down a fire ladder, while a gathered crowd below watches and cheers. He's like literally carrying her over his shoulders. The police go to question him, but Bond tells the captain he's from the British Secret Service. When he is told he's still under arrest, Bond and Stacy steal a fire truck, not noticing that the ladder in the back remains unlocked. The police give chase, and Bond climbs to the back, hanging from the loose ladder, and finally uses the steering at the back of the truck to distract the police. The fire truck finally makes it to a drawbridge, just as the cops tell them to raise the bridge itself. The fire truck makes the jump, but it's too vertical for the police cars, as 3 drive up it and then slide back down into each other.
I needed more cartoonery.
Me too. In Moore's book, Bond on Bond, he says he remembers them pitching him a chase through San Francisco, and he was like, we're gonna do another try and out-bullet Steve McQueen's bullet. Like, I don't think. And then they're like, no, you're on a fire truck, and he was like, yes, I'm in.
He wanted to be an original.
He did.
He did, and I appreciate that.
It's like, you're going to be on a fire truck and you're going to swing around on said fire truck.
Exactly.
And you're gonna jump a bridge.
This is one of, as much as I've been kind of about the movie, this is one of my favorite more chase scenes, because it's like, it makes sense in the brevity of it. Like it doesn't extend itself too far. They get the gags out when they get them out. They're great. There's a lot of car crashes, but it all makes sense in the structure of it. And there's never like a clear stopping point and then it just continues on for too long. This to me works.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of Live and Let Die in a way, in terms of the first, like when James and Solitaire are escaping and they climb into that big ass double-decker bus that has to be sliced in half.
Yes. Yeah.
And then also with Bond being chased by this cop who's like the San Francisco version of J.W. Pepper, crossed over with Andy Sipowicz in a way, but...
I will say, when I saw it on the big screen last month, my first thought was like, is that Dennis Franz? And I was like, that's not Dennis Franz. But I was
not Dennis Franz, though.
Exactly. Do you ever think that guy is like, Dennis Franz fucking stole my career?
Exactly.
I could have been showing my butt on NYPD Blue.
Yes.
Kids, there's this show called NYPD Blue. It was on network, and they showed butt.
And
lots of
everybody
it.
loved it. Lots of it, exactly. So many butt.
Jimmy Smits was on it.
Jimmy
Smits, thank you.
Yes, because CSI Miami left it because he thought he was going to be a movie star, and then they hired
David
Jimmy
Caruso,
Smits, and then Jimmy Smits became the star.
Yeah.
Love that.
None
Sorry.
of that's Bond.
None of that's Bond.
Yeah, it's like nothing against David Caruso, but Jimmy Smits getting to show his butt on camera. That was a percent upgrade.
Yeah.
That's my president.
Queer Awakenings.
The next morning, still driving the fire truck, Bond and Stacy make their way into the supposedly abandoned mine, stealing an explosives truck and making it past the Zoran Industries guards. They then sneak into the mine itself, riding hidden under a tarp in a mine train car. Sneaking around, they discover Zoran's plan to cause an earthquake that will flood Silicon Valley, killing millions. However, they are caught and sneak their way further into the mine. Zoran sends Mayday, Flex, and another female henchperson to give them chase, getting Stacy to the safety of a ventilation shaft. This is so funny. I too, if I was a supervillain, I would only trust women to get shit done. This is very Honor Blackman and her like little fleet of female pilots.
I agree.
And we still don't know what the name of that Asian hench person is, but it's
I think she's given a name, but it's not important to the movie.
It's never said in the movie, at least, which is really unfortunate.
That's because women are not people, Gavin. They don't have names.
I guarantee that her name is still better than Cho Chang.
Yes, 100%. Oh my God.
Thank God that actress has a better gig right now.
Yeah. My favorite thing about this entire thing, and I guess this was a Tanya Roberts special, is they gave her a suit to wear, to put on, like an overall jumpsuit thing. And she was like, this is horrible. And so she got them to like belt it in the waist and take it in at the bottom and whatnot. And so that's why they added that line with Roger Moore's like, thank God you found one that fit you. And it like that's why hers looks fashionable. And I'm like, good for Tanya Roberts for being like, no, I will not look like a potato for the end of this movie.
I respect that. Women are crafty. You know,
Yeah.
she probably found some extra twine or something at the mine shaft and was like, I got this.
Exactly. She's like, I will have hips. Thank you. Zoran then makes his big move, starting the explosions in the mine, killing many of his own men, and machine gunning down as many survivors as he can. Jenny Flex and the other hench person also die in the flood. R.I.P. Mayday gets Stacy, but then the shaft floods, washing Mayday and Bond away. Zoran and Scarpine make their way out of the mine as Bond and Mayday save each other, and Mayday, pissed that Zoran would leave her to die, switches sides.
Hero of the film. Hero. This is her journey.
As a kid, I loved the scene where she's like, damn it, I thought he loved me. And she switches sides. I was always like, yes, it's so cool to see that happen with a hench person.
And I thought that creep loved me.
You're not the only one who double-crossed.
Exactly. It's like, it's very Jaws in the moment whenever
Yes.
he becomes the hero of Moonraker. Sorry, two favorite characters right now.
I hope Jaws and Mayday are having fun somewhere together, you know?
Exactly.
She's hanging out with Dolly and Jaws, and they're having a grand old time.
I need that henchwoman island.
If I look on AO3, I would probably find that exact story.
That is true.
Would it be written by Chels? Who knows?
Somebody go to the archive of our own and let us know. Drop the fan fiction and the reviews.
That moment where Zoran fires on his own men and is laughing kind of hysterically, that's the moment that Roger Moore was like, oh no, like what are the James Bond movies becoming? And I think he's kind of right in a way. I talked a little bit about this in the Never Say Never Again episode, where I think one of the things that Eon learned from Never Say Never Again was this turn towards more 80s action. Because I think Never Say Never Again is really, even though it's not an official James Bond movie, the first 80s action Bond.
And I've
I
been
think
calling that Rambo Bond. So.
Right.
And I don't like Rambo Bond.
And that's, I think, you know, I think that the Octopussy was kind of a Bond that was looking backwards, and A View to Kill is a Bond that's looking forwards, but I don't think it's picking up the best habits. So I kind of actually agree with Roger Moore in that, like, a James Bond movie isn't necessarily a place where you have to see a crazy person laughing hysterically as carnage is going all around them. And I think that the Bond villains are usually a little more sophisticated than that. The Bond's a little more sophisticated than that. So I get what he's saying by like the sheer violence and shock value of that is not something that he's interested in Bond. And Chels, just as kind of a glimpse into your future, I think the Dalton movies continue down this path in a weird way. You're not gonna necessarily see it so much in the next one, but in License to Kill, it reaches kind of a peak. And I'm glad when during the Pierce Brosnan era, as much as there is a very 90s action sheen to those, they do dial back that 80s excess of violence.
Yeah, I think they could have just left it to where he just lets everybody die.
Yeah.
And it's not just like gunfire, massacre, ha 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 of it
Yeah, it's
all.
like you blew up a mine with everyone still in it. I mean,
Right.
I get it. It's like, oh, we need to show how evil and psychotic Zoran is. It's like, but he's already blowing up a mine with all of his people and with someone who's supposed to be his partner that he loves. And it's like, that's more than enough to hammer it home. The fact that, yes, he's evil. Point
It's
has been
almost
made.
more psychotic if they do exactly that and just let him walk away and not revel in the violence.
Right.
Yeah. Even when he said that, oh, but when the foreman is telling him, but Mayday and your people are down there, he's like, yes, a convenient coincidence. And that's kind of more than enough to hammer the point home.
Right, and his delivery of that's so good. And listen, I don't want to absolve past James Bond films of not having. I mean, there are so many people that die in that volcano base in You Only Live Twice. There are so many people that die on the submarine base in The Spy Who Loved Me, and clearly so many die in Moonraker when they blow up inside a space station. But you're both right. It's not as graphic. Like it's not. It's we don't need, like, nobody's like, oh my God, isn't it great that all these people are dying?
It's very off screen. Like
Yes,
you're
yeah.
not up close with it.
It's like you compare Zoran killing all these people to, say, what we saw earlier with Mayday killing the guy on the blimp.
Yeah.
And she does it, yes, it's evil, but it's also like quirky and kind of quirky and stylish in the way that she does it, where she just like waves goodbye to him right before she sends him plummeting to his death.
And then she puts on great fucking sunglasses. So we're going to be on her side anyways.
Always.
It's like, I'm not enough of a boss-ass bitch. Let me just add one more thing
Exactly.
and done.
I'm not done yet. Thank you.
Perfect. Zoran, Scarpine, and Dr. Mortner escape the mine and inflate their blimp, just as Bond notices the water level is dropping, and Mayday mourns her fellow hench people. She has a heart.
She does.
Mayday warns Bond he cannot defuse the explosive that will trigger further flooding into the fault line and helps him retrieve it so they can get it out of the mine, saving his life even as he tries to sacrifice himself several times. I feel like nowadays James Bond would die in that explosion.
Literally he he's like, I can't lift it up, like, or you can't take me and it up, take it alone. And she's like, bitch, do you know how strong I am?
I literally lifted somebody over my head like 12 minutes ago.
Exactly.
As they try to push the cart carrying the bomb out of the mine shaft, Mayday realizes she has to hold the brake open for it to leave and decides instead to sacrifice herself, shouting to Bond to get revenge on Zoran for her. Bond leaves the mine, but as he runs to Stacy, the blimp sneaks up behind Stacy and Zoran grabs her inside. Moving quickly, Bond grabs the mooring rope and hangs on as the blimp flies through San Francisco into the Golden Gate Bridge. How does a blimp sneak up on somebody?
I know, it's crazy.
I thought the exact same thing. I watched A View to a Kill to prepare for this. I watched it last night, and just watching that scene, I was just like, what?
Yeah, exactly. It's so wild. It's funny. I realized in writing that and maybe it's just because I couldn't bring myself to do it. I didn't write that when she like leaves the mine and then blows up. And I like the like really brief moment of Walken realizing he fucked up, that Zoran's like, he like says Mayday right before she explodes. And I was like, oh, like, yeah, R.I.P. Mayday, Grace Jones, so good.
I don't believe she's dead. I do not. I have watched enough soap operas to know that there can be a dead body even. You could see it and they will still come back to life. So look out.
She's pretty resilient.
The force of the explosion just simply knocked her into a coma. She was taken to a hospital. It's still in their
She was
coma
taken
ward.
to General Hospital.
Yes.
Helena Castledine took care of her. She's fine.
And the best part is her showing off her face card defiantly to Zoran right before it blows up.
Yes, exactly.
Amazing.
I almost wish she flipped him off. I almost wish she was just
She
like...
should have.
But yeah, and then after she got out of General Hospital, she's just had a great career as like a singer and model and
Chilling with Baron Samedi.
Exactly.
There you go.
Bond is able to tie the rope to the bridge as they try to knock him off, effectively locking it in place and allowing Stacy to attack Zoran. The carriage of the blimp knocks into the side of the bridge, tearing it open as Stacy tries to jump to safety and hangs off the side of the bridge scaffolding. Zoran attacks Bond with an axe while on the bridge supports, and in the struggle, Bond knocks Zoran off the bridge to a watery grave as Dr. Mortner looks on. Mortner tries to get his revenge by throwing a comedic roll of dynamite at Bond and Stacy, but Bond cuts the blimp free, making the Doctor drop the dynamite into the carriage, killing both him and Scarapine in the process. Bond and Stacy pull themselves up to safety as Bond quips that there's never a cab when you need one. I love the fight on top of the Golden Gate Bridge. I wish there could be just a little bit more, like, once again, it's kind of a lame death for Zoran. I like that he laughs before he like he knows he's going to die and he's so crazy that he's just like, but like, oh, come on, like just give him an extra something.
I was hoping that like maybe Dr. Mortner would die first the way that Zoran did, and then Zoran gets like a better death, like something that feels like an exclamation point.
Mm-hmm. Like, Zoran being inflated full of air and exploding.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
I would love that.
Yes.
That happened to Yaphet Kotto. Why can't it happen to Zoran?
Exactly.
Yes. If you didn't like that death and Live and Let Die, well, guess what? We're bringing it back one more time for Roger Moore's last movie.
Or maybe he's injected with a bunch of his steroids and it just makes him explode.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Roger Moore would not like that violence.
No. He certainly would not. Once again, you are going to see that.
Oh, hell damn it.
Yeah, I feel bad. I feel like I'm harping on the like little things, but I do, there's just more. I just wanted more. Like it's almost like, this is just a thought I'm formulating now, so I could be completely off base, but it's almost like they are fighting those campy instincts but still trying to keep them into the movie, and so it feels like a tug of war, because it's like they really want the realistic James Bond, but they also want the Moonraker, and those two things
Lean
can't
into Moonraker.
right. They can't coexist.
Back in M's office, General Gogol presents the Order of Lenin badge, hoping to give it to Bond as the first non-Soviet citizen to receive it. M responds that he's surprised the Soviets wouldn't cheer the destruction of Silicon Valley, and Gogol laughs, saying, "Where would Russian research be without it?" Gogol, the defense minister, and M all laugh. Politics. M informs Gogol that Bond is still missing, sadly, and they must presume the worst, as Moneypenny listens in, crying. I'm crying because that's the last I see of her.
I know.
She's beautiful.
The last time we see her, she's in tears.
Me too.
At Stacy's palatial empty home, Q's surveillance toy spots Bond and Stacy fooling around in the shower. As M calls Q, Q reports that Bond is still alive and just, quote, cleaning up a few details, as Bond throws a towel on top of the drone. The credits roll, and we're told that James Bond will return. But in what? No title is provided as of 2026 or has been since.
We'll never know if he's actually going to return. We'll never know.
James Bond will return in Avengers Doomsday.
Exactly.
I knew it.
Just that ticking clock down. Like, guys. The end. Final thoughts about everything that you've witnessed in this glorious and ultimately somewhat disappointing movie. We love to talk about the Bond women. We love to talk about the villains. We love to talk about the gaps. But before we get to them, do either of you have any final thoughts about A View to a Kill?
You know what? I will say, yes, it has issues. It could be a little tidier. The reviews are mixed, and I still had a great time because anytime Grace Jones pops on screen, I was like, yes, get it, girl, kill.
Mhm.
I had a great time.
I did too. I still, even after all these years, I still found the movie enjoyable. Watching it for the first time after all these years, it was so good to see Grace Jones on screen again, reminding her why she awakened so many things in me at such a young age.
I understand.
I mean, I'm pretty sure she is the reason why when I see, women who could easily break me in half without breaking a sweat, it's like it all goes back to her. But
You're like,
my
correct.
my feelings are still the same as like it's still entertaining. The script, the story and the script could have used a little more work. Tanya Roberts deserved better material to work with, but overall, I still found it an entertaining way for Roger Moore to go out.
Yeah, like, this is not the worst movie I've seen. It's not my best
No.
Roger Moore movie, but I like this way more than so many of the Connery ones and the fake James Bond movies you've forced upon me.
With consent, with consent.
I have not forgot about the first 2 Casino Royales. And yet I'm trying to forget.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's better if you try. Yeah, no, I think I'm with you both too. Where like it's clearly not the worst James Bond movie by any means, and it has a lot of the right elements. But I do think it is that fight that it has with it. Like
Mhm.
it's kind of. I say this about. I know not a lot of people agree with me on this, but everybody talks about how Batman and Robin's the worst Batman movie of
No.
that run. But
Mhm.
it's not. Batman Forever is. And part of that is that Batman Forever is a movie in the closet and Batman and Robin is out and proud. And I think this is a movie in the closet. It like it really wants to have that seriousness of the late Connery,
Mhm.
early Moore, but it also exists in a post Moonraker world and it can't have it.
I think what makes it slightly more disappointing compared to the other Roger Moores is that it has every element to be the best one, like, bar none. It's just it needed those punch-ups, and it could have been the best Bond. Like, all the ingredients are there. Even the, like, basic idea storyline is there. They just needed to refine it.
Yeah, I think that's true. All right, let's talk about our ladies. I put Mayday first. I'm actually going to save her for last. Stacey Sutton.
Tanya Roberts innocent.
Yeah, beautiful gowns. R.I.P. Tanya Roberts. I had no idea that she passed away.
It's so sad, so
It's
young.
really sad. It's yeah.
Young people are dying.
Yeah, and
Seriously.
and I think she's good in a role that's severely underwritten.
And I love that she kept in touch with other, like, Charlie's Angels and Bond girlies. Like, they
Yeah.
had their little gang. They reunited on that show we can't rewatch anymore because it's cursed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was a Midge fan. What can I say?
Paula Ivanova, she's great in her like a couple scenes. I think she's a lot of fun.
So much fun.
Jenny Flex, best Bond name of the entire movie. And I love that moment when Mayday finds her body and seems genuinely sad. She like shouts, "Jenny!" Like,
I
this is my
refuse to
friend.
believe she's dead. I feel like a little CPR. We've got her.
And a fun fact, the actress who played Jenny, she went on to play another Nazi in an Indiana Jones movie.
Exactly. Yes.
Yes.
Is she the one from Last Crusade? Is
Yeah,
she?
that's her.
I didn't even realize that. Wow.
Action star.
She's great. She gets to kiss both Connery and Harrison Ford. She's living her best fucking life.
Great way to spend the 80s.
Exactly.
Nice.
But of course, our queen of this movie is Mayday, and it'd be hard to not acknowledge how much Grace Jones brings to the proceedings.
Truly top tier Bond girl, right into my heart. Oh my goodness.
I also, and we talk about how James Bond movies are kind of inflated B movies that somehow trick their way into the A crowd and therefore can get away with things that don't necessarily happen. And one of the things, and I know this is like mid 80s, but the fact that Grace Jones gets to wear her real hair throughout it and the variety of styles that she brings to it is so fucking cool, because I guarantee outside of like in like a mainstream Hollywood film, you're not getting someone that looks like Grace Jones, that's as dark as Grace Jones, that has natural hair in like really cool fucking hairstyles in a big mainstream movie. And
also the fact that she sleeps with him whenever in
Yes.
past Bond movies, they
Yeah.
are literally like trying to not make that happen.
Well,
And
I
she
mean,
dominates him in the
yeah.
movie, like physically in those scenes. And like, yes, there's the behind the scenes funniness of it all, but still, like, she owned every scene, and I love her so much.
Yeah, I definitely think that they would have tried to quote unquote feminize her a little more, especially as a character who sleeps with the lead. And one of my mutuals on social media always, the only issue that he really seemed to have with the scene where James and Mayday sleep with each other is like that kind of eye roll that James has when he's dominated by Mayday and they start making out. And I don't know whether he has issue with the way it was written or the fact that he thinks it was like Roger Moore having issue with the scene, but he always found that was always something that he had issue with. But I do like the fact that Mayday literally just dominates James in that scene and
To
takes
me,
over.
I read that as James Bond is not used to being dominated
Yeah.
Yeah.
because he's usually like the instigator in all of these things. And I like that she's just like, we're flipping you around. I'm gonna,
It's like if I
oh.
can't do this with Zoran, I'm about to do this with you.
And she
Yeah.
can throw him around. Ooh.
That's actually what you just said too, Chels, it made me think it's really interesting bookends too, because his first film being Live and Let Die, he sleeps with a black woman, and she like when you first see her, she's wearing a wig, and then she has natural. So it is just something pervasive in the Roger Moore, even though basically since then he's been with many just lily white women. But it is cool to like that it's all been throughout, and like you can sort of chart the progression on cultural acceptance into fucking just treating people like people. And yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I love Grace Jones.
I
I don't
do.
think I was gonna say I don't think I get any argument from either of you.
And my final
Yeah.
Bond woman, Miss Moneypenny. My goodness, I love you,
Oh, yeah.
Lois Maxwell. You're beautiful, lovely. I'm glad you got out of the office this time around. Go have fun.
I like to think there's another deleted scene of her licking her wounds of Bond possibly being dead by going to the track and doing some more gambling.
That's the series I need.
Yeah, exactly. In terms of villains, obviously, Scarapine, Dr. Mortner, who cares? Jenny Flex, Mayday, we already talked about them. So really our guy is Max Zorin. And once again, my only complaint is give us more. He's
Yeah.
so good.
I can't believe he didn't have an accent in this movie.
Wandering around going, Mr. St. John Smythe, welcome to my racetrack. I don't have any accents.
It's funny that Christopher Walken has been two iconic villains named Max, and this is the one where he's like subtle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true. They're both
What's his name?
evil
Max
bit-
Shrek or
Max
something
Shrek.
Yeah.
in
Mhm.
Batman. Oh,
They're
so
both
good.
evil businessmen. My favorite line delivery by Christopher Walken in anything is in Batman Returns when he sees Bruce Wayne at his party and they're having their little tete-a-tete, and Bruce Wayne says something to him and he just goes, yawn,
Yawn.
walks away.
Oh, good.
It's
That's
so
him.
good. Oh my God. Yeah. The Christopher Walken. Yeah. Once again, my only complaint is,
More
to
Walken.
even give him like the bleach blonde hair and the bright blue eyes, like to make him Aryan, and then like not really
and he has
do
his
any-
Oscar by now, so like let him
Yeah.
show out.
Yeah.
And he remained really close friends with Roger Moore throughout the rest of Roger Moore's life. That documentary I brought up towards the beginning of us doing the Roger Moore series, the From Roger Moore with Love, that was aired on BBC. They interviewed Christopher Walken, and he literally says in the interview, I don't do these sort of things. I don't do interviews about friends. And he's like, but for Roger, I would.
When they asked me about this interview, I thought, well, to talk about people I know, I'm not so crazy about doing that generally. But in the case of Roger, Roger was so good-natured. He was so generous as an actor on the set with his time and hospitality. I thought this was an opportunity to, say thanks. He was very much the Roger that you saw on film. He was funny, he was charming, he was handsome, he dressed well. Yeah, very much the same guy.
I love that. And yes, I know it's because he's dodging the Natalie Wood stuff.
I was waiting for it.
You were waiting. It's always
Yeah.
in the back of my mind.
something in common between Max Schreck and supposedly Christopher Walken. Love to drown some people.
Please, we all know it wasn't Christopher Walken. He was drunk and sleeping. I've solved Natalie Wood's murder, everyone, by the way. You have to
I
be my
believe
friend
it.
to know.
Yes, we know who's really responsible, and that person's name starts with R and ends with Albert Wagner.
Allegedly. Just in case.
Allegedly correct. Allegedly in Lana Wood's book.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Everyone
Lots of
go read her book or listen to it.
lots of winking going on, though you guys can't see.
But yeah, Max and Mayday, I would say, are the only villains worth paying attention to. Scarpine, I only know
Who?
him. Yeah, I only know him as Sidney from The Pretender, and that's all I'm going to know him as. Yeah.
Oh wow, you were good at this.
He's watched
Being
a
a ner-
show or two.
He's watching, but all
Being a
these
nerd
shows
has
that-
its perks.
yeah, all these shows that like I used to watch that I hadn't thought of in a long time. Yeah,
This is your brain
Pretender, wow.
Sudoku of the day.
It really is. In terms of gadgets, we got Moore's magic glasses, we got a camera ring, a robot surveillance dog. We have the product placement sharper image card that can break through windows, and
Somehow.
we have yeah, exactly. And we have so many tape recorders. Everybody.
So
just has a
basically,
tape
we have
recorder.
K9 from Doctor Who.
Yep.
We have my Grandma Shirley's magic glasses, the camera ring from my Ring doorbell.
Yeah. I think that, to me, if I had to pick a favorite gadget, I think it's the camera ring. First of all, I've gotten really into wearing rings, even though I'm not wearing any right now, and so I think I could rock that. But do either of you have a favorite gadget from this film? It's kind of a gadget like James Bond movie.
It kind of is, and I'm sad that we never got the usual scene of Q busting 007's balls while talking to him about the gadgets, but I guess just because I'm a child of the 80s, I do like the drone that kind of reminds me of Rob the Robot from the Nintendo Entertainment System when it first dropped. Other than that, I do like the camera ring. It is a nice touch. The magic glasses are just like so massive
I mean,
and
I have
unsubtle.
those, so I already have them. I don't need them. Sorry, Google AI glasses. We don't need you.
We do
I
not.
was thinking that too. I was like, we kind of have these nowadays, and it's crazy that
I do like all of the various tape recorder things and shenanigans with that always, because
Mhm.
bring me back to tape, baby.
Yes.
But also just the microchip that you can put into anything and then have a cane and press a button. I always want a cane that presses a button and does something.
yeah,
You know?
hard to deny that.
Yeah.
Well, Chels, I know what I'm getting you for Christmas Kwanzaa this year.
Yes. I win.
And then, sadly, for the last time, though we'll probably continue doing this with other James Bonds, we have our bonus round, which is just Moore's outfits. Everybody that worked on behind the scenes for his outfits returned from Octopussy. That includes costume designer Emma Porteous, costume supervisor Tiny Nichols. Tailoring for Roger Moore's suits was done by Douglas Hayward, with shirts provided by Frank Foster. All that information can be found on bondsuits.com.
We need to start posting these photos, because bottom left, where Roger Moore has like the horse, like, what is it?
A riding crop.
Riding crop, that's the word.
And
in
the giant
his
hat.
mouth with the giant hat, and he just looks so delighted. But also next to that is just a picture of him smiling at you, and you're like, yeah, you would charm me, baby.
In
Oh.
a leather jacket.
Yes.
Do either of you have a favorite look? I have two, and then I have a clear
Besides all of them.
and I have a clear least favorite as well. My two are the racetrack, because that classic, the top hat with the like wide tie, but then also the kind of like blue grayish blazer that he wears early on in the film. It's so good. He looks
Such a
so
good color
good.
on him.
Yeah.
I mean, just the skiing outfit in this photo specifically looks amazing on him, with the sunglasses and the fur. I love it.
The fur is a nice touch. Not that we're supporting fur, but
No, we
you know.
support a faux fur,
Yes.
obviously. But also, he rocks a top hat, and of course, the riding crop photo. We have to post that online. This is amazing. It's my favorite photo I've ever seen in my life.
Brian, do you have a favorite?
I do like his racetrack outfit with the top hat, along with him just, I guess, him in rugged MacGyver mode with his leather jacket and his
Yes.
dress slacks for rescuing people from elevator shafts and swinging around on fire trucks. The ideal outfit for such activities.
I think the worst, and I'm pretty sure we probably all agree on this, but the like track jacket, track pants that he wears when he's sneaking around the lab is so bad, and it's so like it ages him. It makes him look like grandpa. It's the only time in the movie where I'm like, oh, that's an old dude.
It's also too casual for him.
Yeah.
Way too casual. I don't like it. Put him back in that like leather jacket. Come on. Grace Jones says so too. Mayday's like, yes, leather.
Put a riding crop in your mouth.
Yes. This is why Mayday was down.
She did find his sense of humor surprisingly sexy. So
maybe they shared common interests. Maybe that's why they bonded.
exactly. There was certainly some bondage going on.
Hell yeah.
Well, I think that's case closed on A View to a Kill. Thank you so much for joining us, Brian. Please tell our other agents out in the audience where they can find you online.
You can find me on Blue Sky and Instagram as Hell Resident NY. I'm usually around New York in all of the movie theaters, telling people to shush and be quiet and stop.
Thank you for your service.
Yes, and to stop talking during the movie, and please put your phone away and stop trying to take photos of the title cards. For some strange reason, it's like,
why is that a thing?
Why? They post
can
them
just-
online. Just take the picture from Google.
or take a picture of the movie poster in the lobby if it's there. I promise you, we'll believe you if you tell us that you saw the movie, but I digress. Yes, you can find me on Blue Sky and Instagram as Hell Resident NY. I just blew off the dust on my Letterboxd, so you can find me there as well. You can find my work at pajiba.com and my earlier work at uprocks.com.
Beautiful.
Amazing. Yeah, thank you so much, Brian. You have been an absolute delight. I'm so happy that you contacted Chels I don't know exactly how it happened. But
I force my friends to talk to me on podcasts.
I love it. I'm glad you picked this one. This is a fun one. But as I
Charles
said,
lifted me above her head like Mayday and
Yes.
made me until I said yes to being on the podcast.
shook you up and down. But as I said, that's case closed on A View to a Kill. Thank you for listening to the Q Division. If you'd like to listen to our previous episodes, we're available wherever you listen to podcasts. Please make sure to rate and review our show while you're there. And you can also find us on Blue Sky and Instagram at QDivisionPod on both, or you can email us at qdivisionpod@gmail.com. Chels, please remind the agents where they can find you.
I am Chell725 on the Blue Sky, Serialized, which is like television Letterbox. I am occasionally on Real Letterbox. I don't like to be perceived. If you see me log something, do not talk to me about it. It is my diary. Stop reading. And then, obviously, I'm here on the Q Division. And then right now, we should be having episodes come out across the Hooniverse. Gavin's a guest. Brian, I'm forcing you to be a guest because I just like to talk to people about nerdy shit. And I've been here on the Glitterjaw family, Fear-Coded Gimmicks. I did another Screonk where I talk about the greatest film ever made, Godzilla vs. Kong. It got me out of my pandemic depression and has only made me a better person. And funsies things, I'm on And a Rewatch Pod, but we're making a second feed just for all of our reality shows and all of our stories. So go check my socials for that link. And then, of course, I'm on The World According to Glenn. I'm very proud of my Serving in Silence episode. What a great little TV movie. Everyone go listen. And go listen to Gavin talk about Mary Riley, a movie I cannot get out of my mind. To talk about accents Christopher Walken would fit in.
Hello, Mary Riley. I'm Dr. Jekyll. Pleased to meet you. This is Mr. Hyde.
I would love it.
And for me, I'm Gavin doing terrible Christopher Walken impersonations. You can find my declassified account on it's Gavin. That's SHHITSGAVIN on Blue Sky. And you can find me on Instagram if you want to do at GavinMev. You can also find my other long-running film podcasts at The Mixed Reviews on any podcast platform, co-hosted by my good friend Louis Rendon. To find more information about The Mixed Reviews, please visit glitterjaw.com/mixed-reviews. And until next time, we hope to have left you shaken, not stirred.
Dance into the fire. That fatal kiss is all we need. Dance into the fire. When all we see is the view to a kill.
Ryan, can you bully Gavin into saying we need to do a Batman podcast when we're done with James Bond?
Yes, please. I will do
Thank
so.
you.
It would not take much bullying.